So welcome everybody to this webinar where we will have 3 Ignite talks. Before we start, I'd like to give some housekeeping rules. It always sounds really bad, but it isn't. So you know, the event will be recorded and we can't hear or see you, but we can have an interaction with you if you use like either the chat or the Q&A. I'd like to suggest to use chat for social activity. So let us know where you're from, let us know who you are, and in the Q&A, please ask questions to the people who are presenting the Ignite talks so they can answer either on the spot or perhaps after the meeting if you're getting in touch with them. So next slide, please. We will have 3 Ignite talks. First one is going to be Supriya Sharma. She's the Executive Director of Rainglow. This Johannes Dolle, CEO of Platform, will follow. And then we will have Sven Ubik, researcher at Chestnut. After the presentations, there will be some time for you to add like questions, and we will take time to answer those. So please enjoy, and perhaps we can start the first one.
Hello everyone, my name is Supriya and I am a management consultant by profession. There was something that occurred to me, to the human in me, who is a management consultant by profession and who is an avid traveler on the weekends. And this is the reason that I'm here today to ignite your thought on the same question that occurred to me. With the rich cultural heritage that we have in Europe and the idea of digitally transforming this cultural heritage sector, where is the gap that is existing that we can fulfill to fasten the process and make it as successful as we can? This is what we are going to be discussing today in my Ignite talk. So if we are visualizing cultural heritage sector, which is existing in a healthy digital state, in a society that is creative, knowledgeable, and open, what is the first step that needs to be taken in order to make it a reality? Any guesses? We are talking about empowering these stakeholders. And the stakeholders in this particular case that I'm referring to are the organizations that operate in this sector. And how can we empower them? Empower them to be digitally transformed, to be digitally equipped? Where is the foundation? It lies in the culture of the organization. Because we don't want digital transformation to be simply a process of incorporating digital technology in the operations to deliver value. We want it to be a part and parcel of our day-to-day living, the way we live in an organization. It needs to be entwined with our vision, mission, and values. And that's when I compare the culture and digital transformation to the analogy of hemoglobin and oxygen in our body. Do you know that hemoglobin is the red pigment that carries oxygen in our blood, and oxygen is our lifeline? Similarly, if we want digital transformation to be taken to all parts of the organization, and once one organization is taken care of, slowly and gradually the entire sector can be taken care of. So if we are looking at transferring or transporting, or rather teleporting in today's case, the concept and the principle of digital transformation within the organization, what is the oxygen that we need to target? The oxygen here is the culture of the organization. And that's when I mean the equivalence between culture transformation and digital transformation. There is hardly any digital transformation which is possible in the business environment, in any of the economies across the globe, without being supported by a culture transformation. And culture transformation doesn't come in a day. It's a slow and gradual process, just as Rome wasn't built in a day. There was a study conducted by the Boston Consulting Group where they studied 40 different digital transformations across various sectors, and they realized something common in all these digital transformations. And that was the result. They said that the organizations which had their culture in place, or rather which had a culture transformation in line with a digital transformation, were 5 times more likely to achieve the desired results of the transformation that we are looking at. Because incorporating technology doesn't mean incorporating it in just one department of the organization or with one particular set of people in the company. It has to be throughout. You cannot tell your employees, or you cannot be working in a team on one side on Excel sheets, and on the other hand, you are telling that we have a CRM software in our organization that brings the entire data together. That is just not possible. We need to take everyone along. And the first commitment, the very first commitment that comes from, in this case, is from the senior leadership team of the organization we are referring to. It could be a profit-making organization, it could be a non-governmental organization or a non-profit organization. Whatever the case may be, the commitment needs to come from the senior leadership team. Even the CEO has to be involved because it's a top-down process rather than a bottom-up approach. Once we are able to buy in the commitment of the senior leadership team, coupled with the great high-caliber talent that exists in any organization, the desired goals can be achieved without much of a hassle. What you will require is, any guesses there? Yes, it is the integration of the transformational goals with your strategy. If you ever thought of strategy when I was talking about this entire transformation and the culture together, you got it right. You just hit the nail if there was strategy that came to your mind. Because with the vision of our organization, with the mission that exists, that rather drives us to all the people that we are a part of the organization, it needs to be incorporated with the digital transformation aspect that we are bringing into our organization. Otherwise, it's a far-off game. Let me share with you an experience of mine, which rather motivated me to further think as a management consultant, how we can help the organizations who are working in the sector of cultural heritage to actually be benefited by this culture transformation. You know, cultural heritage, culture transformation sounds similar, right? So they got to be together in order to make the best out of them. So I was sharing an experience that actually motivated me to do so. It was during my visit to the OBA library in Amsterdam. Now, when I entered the library, I was astonished to see the facility and the infrastructure, a library that can incorporate, or rather that can have more than 1,000 people at a time, with a great restaurant, with a great auditorium. And in addition to this, most importantly, it had those 1.5 million collections of books and journals from the prehistoric and the historic times to the present and the future. That was wow. And when I really went a little deep into how they were able to do it, how they were able to have those prehistoric journals and manuscripts available for us in place for our generation to read, it was digital technology that gave me the answer. And they were able to bring our history to the present generation only with the help of digital technology. Similarly, there are other organizations and other institutions that can be benefited by incorporating digital technology in the way they deliver value to their stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders could be the owners, could be the supporters, could be the well-wishers, or the customers of the organization. And they all have to be brought together. They all have to be engaged in this transformation that we are looking at doing digitally. If you are ready to bring about this transformation in your organization, let's do it together. Because yes, we are in a digital savvy world, and thinking of an organization which does not have technology incorporated till the last grain is like being in an anachronistic era, which we cannot do. So if you are inclined and if you're convinced with the idea of how important the culture of the organization is, how important it is to bring about all the departments and all the stakeholders together on one platform and convince them and involve them and engage them in this entire process of transformation, it can be really beneficial for the entire society. Because we are looking at a society which is open, knowledgeable, and creative, with the idea in the background that we need to pass on our cultural heritage to our future generations in a sustainable fashion, and where culture plays a truly and truly paramount role. So if your organization, again, is looking at taking up a digital transformation project or applying technology into your organization and working with your processes, please, please, please make sure that you are able to bring in everybody on the same platform and involve them in this transformation process, because it is a cultural thing. The whole community has to be involved. It's a cultural thing. It's not done individually. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're convinced that culture transformation does play a really important role in bringing about digital transformation in our cultural heritage sector, please let's join hands and work together on how we can make it successful and how we can improve the society for our future generations in a sustainable fashion. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Supriya. We will continue with the video of Johannes Dolle, and after we have done all the videos, there will be some time for some answering questions in case there are any. So thank you and enjoy the next presentation.
Welcome everybody to Platform's first Ignite talk, and thank you Europeana for having us. I'm Johannes, the founder of Platform, the platform for art loans. Throughout the last 2 years, we witnessed an event of the century. The COVID-19 pandemic has influenced the whole world. Billions of people seek security in isolation. The public life that we were used to came to a halt. And this forced us to switch even more into a digital life. We were forced to buy digitally, study, book appointments, and even get inspired digitally. It has become inevitable that the last 2 years have changed old habits drastically, including the art world, because we saw that brick-and-mortar art institutions were forced to close doors, cancel agendas, facing a mess of financial and operating dilemmas. These dilemmas, on the other hand, really fueled the explosive growth of online projects, cloud-based art exhibitions, and emerging technology providers. Realizing that those first improvisations and digital approaches became a necessity, the private art market responded and adopted their way of working. Nowadays, these remote and digital solutions empower the art world to thrive into a sustainable CCI ecosystem and paradigm development. The explosive rise in revenue within the online art market, the boom around NFTs, and the first all-digital virtual reality DSL collection are just a few among many examples driving the current digitalization wave in the art industry. But the question is, how can the public glam world integrate and embrace these innovative efforts into their own professional ecosystem? And how can these innovative approaches leverage the museal endeavor? The International Council of Museums defines 5 basic tracks of a museum: collecting, researching, preserving, exhibiting, and conveying. Lending objects, for example, plays an important role in the museum world, especially in the areas of research and exhibition. For museums, however, the process of loaning art is often extremely time intense. Selecting and locating the right art pieces, as well as contacting the right person behind the piece, takes up a lot of time. And although individual museums have successfully started to digitalize and display their collections online, these digitalization efforts remain local, focusing on the broad public primarily. These online collections, however, contain a huge potential for the professional art world. Through centralizing the information of the collection's inventory, art professionals such as exhibition curators would be able to browse the art world's inventory, locate interesting pieces, and contact the person right behind it. These findings underline the potential and importance of centralizing existing online collections. Platform really sees this as an emerging challenge. We seek to transfer the innovative solutions that were driving or are driving the private sector onto the challenges of the public sector. That is why we are working on a professional tool, connecting the global exhibition ecosystem. By digitally centralizing public and private art inventory, we have created a database that allows our users to browse the art world, the worldwide art inventory. We want Platform to act as a problem solver, using digitalization and technology to overcome problems within the public art industry. So let's look into the problem of unactivated art, for example, and how Platform can help to activate more. We all know that more than 95% of the public and more than half of the private art inventory is being locked and unactivated at all times. Following our vision of activating more art, we herein see an immense potential within the exchange of art and art loans. The process of loaning art, however, is extremely analog, personal and time intense. And curators spend on average 50% of their time locating the right art pieces. But we are trying to solve this problem by utilizing existing technologies to connect existing APIs, forming a centralized art inventory database for art professionals. Our search engine grants first-time access to comprehensive search results, availability prognosis, and direct lender contact options. Further, we are able to reduce search time, allowing the users to get information about a piece, as well as access to the right contact person behind it. With 90% of private art collectors seeking to loan their work, and museums being extremely eager to exhibit them, Platform seeks to create a centralized art inventory platform, connecting lender and renter, maximizing the percentage of internationally exhibited pieces through art loans. So we are building a tailored tool, a matchmaking platform with a precise search engine to browse and loan art pieces. Hereby, we are enhancing 3 of the 5 main museal pillars, as defined by ICOM: research, exhibition, and conveying possibilities. And within this initiative, we see immense benefits for the international exchange of cultural heritage, networking, for example, and the professional process of loaning art and art research. And in that sense, we are sure that the art world will become more digital. We are also sure that the art professionals will use digital tools to network, to curate and loan art pieces, no doubt. This is why we at Platform want to be the ones facilitating this transformation. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please let me know. And if you want to book a demo, for example, or just visit our homepage, then you can do that at plat-forum.com or contact us directly via jd@plat-forum.com. Thank you.
And thank you, Johannes. So the next presentation will be from Sven, researcher at Chestnut. Please enjoy.
Hello, my name is Sven Ubik. I work for Chestnut, and I would like to present you our work in digital storytelling with heritage artifacts. We believe that visiting an exhibition, physical or virtual, should have 3 functions. It should be educative to learn something, inspiring to motivate people to think about the exhibition subject, and it should be entertaining rather than boring. Some heritage objects are especially convenient to tell visitors a rich history of art or society, how and why the object was created. We think that a modern way of making virtual exhibitions or enhancing physical exhibitions is to allow visitors to virtually manipulate with artifacts and go through a story, rather than just showing static photographs and text descriptions. A virtual exhibition can be created as a set of interactive 3D scenes with annotations, quizzes, and tasks that a visitor can experience. The artifacts can be shown in their original function and in their cultural and historical context. We created a framework or workflow for digital storytelling. In the first step, a specialist in digitization creates 3D models, usually using photogrammetry, and pre-programs allowed interactions. In the second step, a museum curator creates storytelling scenario with connected information and quizzes without programming. Once the digital content and its visualization are created, they can be used using the same web application, both in a physical exhibition and on the web. Current Europeana records and virtual exhibitions are static sets of photographs. Some of the heritage artifacts can be easily presented in interactive visualizations, which are fully web-based, embeddable, and ready to be integrated with Europeana. We will be happy to collaborate with the Europeana team in innovating the cultural heritage presentation. Thank you for your attention, and do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.
Thank you, Sven. And I could see there was a question from Jean Livingston from Virginia, USA. Thank you for joining us. And the question was for Johannes. I will read the question. It's quite a story, but how important is cultural transformation that chooses to build products and services that address genuine human needs rather than getting people to buy things that they do not really need, are not sustainable, or that are harmful to environment or to people? In other words, how do we get more people to challenge or at least question the competitive, profit-based corporate paradigm that has been so destructive? Isn't this at least part of the cultural transformation we are talking about? And how can we be more cooperative and equitable and human-centered in the institutions we build and choices we make? So any of you three would like to answer this question?
I'm not 100% sure whether I understand the question correctly, but yes, it is interesting what you're asking. I mean, how can we be more cooperative? How can we be more human-centered in the institutions? And how can we really build this ecosystem that we are all talking about, especially this digital ecosystem? I mean, platform is trying to find an answer for that, trying to really get everybody on one platform, and I think Europeana is doing a very similar approach to really, especially, well, actually Europe-wise, right? So locally, internationally, to give an answer to these questions that you were raising. But I also see that the question was not really addressed to me, right?
But everybody's opinion matters, I think.
Sure.
So, Priya, do you have an opinion on this?
Absolutely. I was just waiting for Johannes to finish and share his opinion, which was very valid. So thanks, Jenny, for this wonderful question. And it's not a question. In fact, I would say it's a brilliant perspective that you've brought upon this discussion, because when we talk of culture transformation in an organization, we are definitely referring to bringing all the humans on the same platform and pinning them with the values the values that are very important to the culture of the organization, what we refer to as the core values of the organization, those values on which the vision and the mission of the organizations are built. So I absolutely am in line with your opinion and your question that yes, we need to be building the human-centered organizations who are focused on creating experiences. I would rather repeat this, creating experiences for the stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders could be the people within the organization or the customers, like you mentioned, who are buying the artifacts and the paintings and stuff like that. So it has to be the experience that we are looking at, transforming to the other person, not just making profits or making money out of the business we are into. So thanks once again for bringing this perspective on board of human-centered approach to creating experiences. Thanks, Europeana, for coming up with this program, the Digital Spring program. And I'm really, really fortunate that my Italian friend by the name of Mariana Marcucci introduced me to the Europeana, where I'm able to, have my management practices implemented in a cultural heritage sector. So it's about making an impact wherever we can, as a person who has been associated with the European heritage. So I'm really excited to be learning from each of you and to be working with all of you. I mean, together we can absolutely make a difference in this regard. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm super excited to be a part of this.
Well, thank you. We were very happy having you. So thank you all three. We've shared the email addresses. Thank you participants for joining us on these sessions. I wish you a very lovely rest of the day and hopefully see you at one of our future events. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.